My fiancée passed away last March from infection. She was dealing with organ failure and was becoming weaker. She was 25 and I'm 30. I proposed to her at the hospital because the longer I waited the worse her condition got, and we were only engaged for a few days. She went into a coma and passed away. I was devastated and mad. I was mad at everyone and had so much anger and grief that I was too weak to deal with. I just couldn't deal with fact that I had no choice but to start to learn to live without her. It was incredibly hard phase and I'm still learning to adapt, but I have some of her stuff that bring me comfort and a bit of joy. This is my first Christmas without her, and I wanted to do what I did every year and buy her a nice gift. But I don't know where to take it, frankly. Lately her dad has been contacting me, wanted to come and take some of my fiancée's stuff. Even though he already took what he wanted. I told him to wait for me till I get home, but he must have had the spare key that my fiancée had. It's my apartment and he never returned it to me. In 2 hours he called me and said that he already sorted through her stuff and took what he needed. I was pretty pissed at this point because there's stuff that are sentimental to me and I had no idea what he took. I got home and I found that among the stuff he took was my fiancée's engagement ring. The reason I knew he took it is that the ring was in my closet, not with her things. The way my clothes were scattered was an indicator he had no business going through my things and taking it. I called him several times but only his wife, fiancée's stepmom, responded. He called me back at 11 p.m. and I asked him if he took the ring I proposed to my late fiancée with. He avoided the question, then said that he indeed took it. I lost it. I told him he had no right to even be in my bedroom and take something that belongs to me. He corrected me saying the ring was on his daughter's finger before she passed away, therefore it was hers and he gets to keep it. I argued with him and told him I paid for the ring, and also and more importantly is that this ring belongs with me since it's a symbol of my relationship with my fiancée and I just can't let go of it like that. He reminded me that I'm not her husband and that from now on he doesn't have to deal with me. I got so mad at him I told him he has 2 days to bring it back or I'll call the cops. He hung up after calling me names. Family and close friends heard from him and said I was out of my mind to call the police on my late fiancée's father, no matter the reason. They didn't let me explain and said that my pain and grief are nothing compared to a parent losing their child. They've all called me pathetic and attention-seeking, God knows what. But I insisted and told them that I'll do it. Not the idiot. What he did was burglary. He entered your home without your permission and removed property that didn't belong to him. It doesn't matter that she was his daughter, that doesn't give him any rights to her property. When an engagement ends in anything other than marriage, it's customary for the ring to be returned. There are a lot of people who feel that an engagement ring is a gift and shouldn't be returned, but it's a symbol of an exchange between a couple and nobody outside that couple gets a say. Not the idiot. But in a sense you would be for telling him, don't do that. Call the police now. Like right now. That's game over. You've already warned him. The story of I'm a bereaved father so distraught that I had to break in, rifle through his things, and then steal a bunch of stuff is laughable. Imagine telling that to Judge Judy. And let's be clear, that is the story. Grief doesn't give him the right to break into your apartment and rifle through your things. He wants to throw the fact that you have no legal ties to your fiancé to shut you up, so you can throw the fact that you no longer have any ties to him to justify calling the police on this guy. I hope you took pictures of the state of your apartment after this idiot went through it. I'm getting married, and originally my date was set for June 7th, though we decided to postpone indefinitely. We called everyone who was invited to let them know, then wrote an announcement on social media. In said announcement, we decided to ask for donations to Feeding America in lieu of engagement gifts at this time. Several people bought us engagement gifts already, though it was decided since we're not calling off the wedding altogether, gifts do not to be returned. In late March I got notice from Amazon that my cousin, we will call him Jay, bought us several things from our registry totaling in around $150 in value. Jay and I have a strained relationship for many reasons, so I was shocked to see this. When I told my mom, she told me Aunt Jay's mom, we will call her Elle, and she was so happy her son did this. He has a history of buying awful wedding gifts. He bought one of my aunts a board game for her wedding, so she was glad he did the right thing. Amazon deliveries have been delayed, so I have been keeping an eye on the registry. 2 nights ago I logged in and realized all the gifts my cousin bought were gone from the purchased list. I reached out to Amazon customer service and they told me he either cancelled it or there was a shipping error that caused it to be cancelled on their end, but they couldn't specify more than that. I followed up with my cousin, only to find out that, when he saw my post on Facebook about donations, he cancelled the order so he could give a donation. That's fine, but he never gave one, only my mom and a different cousin donated so far. And I posted this announcement 2 weeks ago. And then he said something about planning to give gifts in the future, he just didn't want to add to my stress. I laughed at this, receiving gifts is far from stressful. I told this all to my mom and we had a good laugh at how ridiculous the situation was. She then told it to her other sister, we will call her S. This was all on Friday. On Saturday my aunts had a Zoom hangout together, during which Elle brought up some issues she is having with Jay. My mom texted S privately saying she shouldn't say anything about the gift but wanted to. S convinced her to say something, so my mom did. Elle was crushed. My mom called Elle later so they could speak privately about it, but telling her added insult to a very shaky relationship between Elle and Jay. Am I the idiot for telling my mom? In all fairness, I only did because our gifts are being delivered to her place and she was on the lookout for the package. I didn't expect it to go to this level and I feel bad for my aunt. You're the idiot. Part of the reason people give gifts is because they are going to a wedding event and being fed, having fun, dancing, etc. He cancelled the gifts because you no longer have a date for the wedding and probably didn't want to be guilted into buying a second round of gifts. Also, it's not anyone else's business what he buys you and how much he spent. I'm assuming he's an older adult and is now being harassed by his mom. You're being tacky by talking about people's gifts. Pretty horrible behavior towards a cousin. You're not entitled to a gift, stop crapping on other people over material things worth $150. Makes you look petty and out of touch with what's important in life. Hint, it sure as hell isn't a $150 worth of junk from Amazon. I remember when weddings used to be about love. Now it seems more and more people are more concerned about what they're going to get instead of what they'll need to give. You need to actually start listening instead of reasoning. First of all, he is well within his right to cancel a gift for a party that will not happen. Furthermore, he is not required to donate to a charity based on your schedule. Have you considered that the $150 may have been very much needed during these times? You're being way too judgmental of your cousin. Being engaged does not give you the right to dictate how someone contributes. Last month I was in a hit and run, the only accident I've had in 12 years of driving. The other driver was eventually found and 100% at fault. I missed one day of work the day after the accident. This morning I had a sudden, severe muscle spasm, lost my balance and fell hard. I hit my head, had amnesia, have large bruises. Obviously went to the ER via ambulance and did not go into work today either. After returning home, I FaceTimed my mom. Her first response was, I hope you don't get fired. This was not unexpected, she catastrophizes often, but without even a preface about if I'm okay, medical prognosis, etc. really pissed me off. I said goodbye and then hung up. I've always had excellent work attendance. I own my home, am in part-time grad school, and consider myself to be doing pretty damn good. I've had 4 jobs in the past 2 years, but no employment gaps. I resigned on good terms with glowing references, each was to accept a much better offer and doubled my salary in 2 years. My parents think it's too many jobs, they're the stick-it-out types, thinking loyalty is rewarded when this isn't how today's job market functions. We've spoken about similar comments made in the past. Occasionally she apologizes, sometimes argues, always claims she can't help it. I tell her that's simply not true, try having more empathy or just keep inconsiderate comments to herself. They're also absent from important events in my life. They didn't come to my college graduation, citing a long flight and disappointment that I didn't play sports senior year, despite graduating from a top 10 university, highest honors, full scholarship. I'm a good son. I give thoughtful birthday cards and gifts. Last Christmas I paid all expenses for a European river cruise they've been talking about. I live an hour away from them, but immediately go over to troubleshoot any household or IT issues they often have. I'm gay and came out in my mid-teens. They were fairly supportive, but there's always been a subtle shame. They insist I don't comment on me around their friends and neighbors. After 2 years of dating my now husband, I tried to arrange a dinner for them to meet for the first time since I was considering proposing soon. I made 5 reservations in a month and they cancelled last minute every time. They were decent at my wedding, but it was expensive, I paid for it, and I think their pride at the glamour of the event outweighed their shame. My sister hasn't spoken to them for years for similar reasons. They have suddenly ended several decades-long friendships, claiming themselves to have no fault whatsoever. Neither speaks to their siblings. An obvious pattern from their toxic bullcrap. I think I'm getting the worst of it now since few others are left. Am I the idiot for seriously considering severing ties with my parents? Not the idiot. They don't seem to respect you outside of how you make them look, between their subtle disapproval of your relationship with another man, but enjoying that it was done at a fancy event, and the way they cared more about how you looked with different jobs than what would be most successful for you. They seem judgmental and at a disconnect for what's best for you and how things really are. I completely understand your side and where you're coming from. They seem to bring you down more than help lift you up. Maybe try speaking with your sister and see how she feels now that they're not talking. That'll help make your decision. Regardless, you're an adult and clearly quite successful. I'm sure you'll be fine on your own. Best of luck. Parents should love all their children equally and unequivocally. For some, not achieving the goals they had in mind for you when you grew up is an unspeakable sin. My parents never forgave me that I found happiness by going in tech rather than doing a doctorate. You are who you are, and parents can get their head out of their misshapen beliefs and opinions and love you or keep to their guns and losing their children's. It seems they already chose the latter with your sister. Personally, I found peace that way. Maybe it'll open their eyes. Some people can't foresee consequences for what they do. I was on my honeymoon when my sister gave birth to her second child. I called her and had a FaceTime session with her and newborn the next day. I returned home 2 weeks later and met my nephew. I had bought some presents for my sister and brother-in-law, but couldn't decide on a present for the baby while overseas, but didn't worry about it that much as I didn't think it was a big deal. My sister and brother-in-law are very well off, have lots of possessions, toys etc., plus hand-me-downs from child number 1, so I didn't think they would miss a gift. Fast forward 2 weeks and my dad tells me my sister has called him complaining to him about 15 times that I haven't brought a present for my nephew. I was really shocked when I heard this as I have been visiting regularly, helping look after her 2 sons, both under 2 years old, so she could have a break. She is apparently upset with me for my lack of gifts both now and with child number 1. Apparently I should be bringing gifts over every 3 visits. My parents want me to get him a birth gift, he is now 4 weeks old. To add to this, I am the godmother, so apparently I'm required to spend up to $500 on a christening gift. When did showing love to a family member mean spending money? I like to think that the time I give is more important. Am I the idiot for not showing up with a present? Not the idiot. My sister had 3. I bought number 1 a Sophie giraffe when she was born, the other 2 got balloons. Newborns are basically potatoes that's cry. If they have all the baby crap, then your sister doesn't need a gift, because honestly that's who baby gifts are for. Newborns don't care what they wear and are too small to play. As for the godparent gift, that's insane. Who does that? I'm godmother to number 1 and I spent $50 on a little cross necklace because she was a baby. What in each does a baby need that costs $500? Your sister sounds entitled. If you want to give a gift, go ahead. If you don't want to, no one can force you to, and no one should force you. Besides, $500 on christening gift? Right. Give them what you can afford and are willing to spend, and that's that. They should be grateful for what they get. If they are dissatisfied, you can always take back the gift. Not the idiot, absolutely. I don't understand what's the point of gifting expensive things to newborns. I'd much rather invest in packs of Onuses and burp cloths that the parents could use. In our culture, the godmother has to buy the newborn baby a silver set, which comes with a silver baby rattle, a silver milk bottle, a silver plate, cup and spoon. Utterly and completely useless because the baby can't enjoy these delicate things anyway. Also, what's with the $500 bequest request? Really? I, 48, am a mother of 2 teenage daughters, Cassandra, 19, and Louise, 16. My sister Lorraine also has a daughter around their age named Lisa, 20, who is very into fashion. Lorraine and her husband make a lot more money than we do, and so they can afford to buy Lisa very expensive designer clothes. It's become a bit of a tradition that when my niece outgrows her clothes or simply doesn't wear something anymore, the clothes will be passed along to my daughters. We would never be able to afford those kinds of clothes otherwise, so I know it's something my girls look forward to. The problem is that Lisa and Cassandra are both rail thin, and ever since she hit puberty, Louise is not. Cassandra has always been the type that never seems to put on weight despite her love affair with junk food. Louise on the other hand is very healthy, but she is larger than her sister and cousin. Just to be clear, she is not overweight. She falls into the average weight range for her age and height, albeit slightly on the higher end. At Thanksgiving, Lorraine brought 2 large plastic tubs of clothes with her which Lisa decided to donate. In years past, my girls have always sorted through the clothes together and decided amongst themselves who got what. This was doable when everyone was all more or less the same size. But when Lisa and Cassandra both wear a size S or XS, and Louise now wears a size M or L, this time most items could naturally only go to Cassandra. This has caused a huge row with Louise. She complained that I should give all the clothes back because it's not fair to get a gift that she and Cassandra can't split equally. Cassandra argued that Louise could have all the accessories, but she doesn't want to give the clothes back. By accessories, Louise is getting several designer scarves, hats, 2 handbags, 3 belts, jewelry, as well as 2 large sweaters that fit her, all in very nice condition. I told Louise that her cousin was not deliberately excluding her, and I was disappointed to see her act ungrateful for what she did receive. She was very cross with me and said she feels like no one is considering her feelings. I do understand why she feels hurt and perhaps left out. However, returning the clothes seems like it would be a punishment to Cassandra, and I don't think it sends the right message to Louise either. She has still not gotten over it, so my husband thinks we should just return the clothes to my sister so we can all move on. Am I the idiot for sticking to my guns? Not the idiot. As the youngest of 6 girls in my family, I grew up getting tons of hand-me-downs from my older sisters. Then the day came when I started handing things up to a couple of them instead. I wasn't overweight either. I just wasn't as small and those sisters were. It was weird at first, but I got over it. I can see why this situation might hurt your Louise's feelings, but it's not reasonable for her to insist that Cassandra not get any of the clothes. The clothes are gifts, and it is unreasonable for Louise to deny her sister of the clothes. However, teenagers are fragile, and this could stem from body image issues causing her to lash out and overreact. So please don't be too harsh on her and try to address some of these issues, because body dysmorphia and eating disorders are so common for girls of that age. The more you argue with her and stick to the plain facts, the more this could hurt her. Encourage more body positivity. That said, good for Cassandra for offering up all the accessories. Best of luck, OP. Not the idiot. It isn't the sister and cousin's faults they are smaller than Louise, just like it isn't Louise's fault she is larger. She has every right to be upset she can't fit into any of them, but that doesn't mean she should be ungrateful or make her sister lose out just because she can't fit into the clothes. However, as someone who has an eating disorder, I will say Louise seems very sensitive about her size, and you should try and watch out for any disordered habits just to be on the safe side.